You wake up, it's 6:48 a.m. The house is quiet. Still, you reach for your phone, check the time, maybe the news, maybe your messages. You sit up fast. No water, no breakfast, just straight to the kitchen for coffee, caffeine on an empty stomach. And within minutes, your heart is racing and you haven't even stood up yet. Sounds familiar? After 60, mornings like this might seem normal, even harmless. But what if I told you they're not just habits, they're warnings, and you're not the only one doing them? In fact, most seniors do the same five things before 9 a.m. without even thinking twice. Each one small, each one silent, but together they quietly increase your blood pressure, tighten your arteries, and reduce the oxygen flow to your brain. And over time, they raise your risk of stroke, not by a little, but significantly. This episode isn't about fear, it's about attention. Because here's the truth. Research now shows that the first 90 minutes of your morning can either protect your brain or put it at risk. The good news? None of these fixes are hard. You don't need supplements. You don't need equipment. You just need to rethink the way your morning begins. Today, I'll walk you through those 5 common habits, why they're dangerous, and what to do instead. And if you stay until the end, I'll share one quiet shift, a 20-second change most seniors overlook. That can help improve blood flow to the brain in just 3 days. So if you've ever felt lightheaded in the morning, if you've ever skipped breakfast and felt off balance before noon, if you've ever thought, maybe it's just age, this one's for you, because your health after 60 isn't built on medication. It's built in mornings. You know what most people expect before a stroke? A sudden headache, a numb arm, blurry vision, something dramatic, something that feels like an emergency. But what if the real warning wasn't dramatic at all? What if it was ordinary? A skipped glass of water, a phone screen lit too early, a dizzy step out of bed. Here's the shift I want you to hear. The warning is the routine. Most strokes don't come out of nowhere. They come after years of small stressors, blood pressure swings, poor circulation, missed signals. And for many seniors, those stressors show up in the exact same way. Every morning, you might think, but I've always done this. Yes, and that's what makes it dangerous. Because after 60, the body becomes more sensitive to dehydration, to sudden movement, to spikes in cortisol, and your brain, your heart, your arteries. They don't want urgency, they want ease. They want a gentle start. So if your morning feels rushed, if your routine feels like it's pushing your system too fast, that's not just fatigue. That's a message, a quiet one. But it's speaking loud if you know how to listen. And that's why today matters. Because if the routine is the warning, then changing the routine becomes the prevention. The first thing most people over 60 forget to do in the morning is also the simplest. They forget to drink water. It sounds harmless. But after 7 or 8 hours of sleep, your body's naturally dehydrated. Your blood becomes slightly thicker, your circulation slows, and your heart has to work harder just to push oxygen up to the brain. Now imagine skipping water and going straight to coffee on an empty stomach with no hydration. Instead of easing into the day, your body is thrown into a mild stress state. Cortisol rises, your vessels constrict, and your blood pressure bumps up, sometimes without you even noticing. You might feel fine, or maybe you feel just a little off, a little foggy, a little slower. But these aren't just signs of aging, they're signs of a system under stress. Still not convinced? A 2025 study reviewing over 3 million patients showed that seniors who were clinically dehydrated had double to quadruple the risk of stroke compared to those who were well hydrated. That's not speculation. That's data. And another study from the Enhanced database, tracking 29,000 people, found that those who drank less than 1.4 liters of water a day had a 25% higher risk of stroke. Yes, even just one less glass can make a difference. So what's the fix? It's not fancy. It's not expensive. It's one glass of room temperature water within 10 to 15 minutes of waking up. Room temperature is key. Cold water can shock the nervous system. Warm water supports a gentler wake-up, activates digestion, and reduces tension on your heart. Want to make it even better? Add a pinch of sea salt, just a pinch. It helps restore electrolytes and gives your body the minerals it needs to start circulating smoothly. Or a squeeze of lemon for liver support and a slight alkalizing effect. I once had a patient in his 70s. He was fit, walked every morning, no major medical issues, but one day he stood up, felt lightheaded, and nearly passed out. No heart attack, no stroke, no big red flags, just dehydration. The night before, he'd had a salty meal. That morning, no water, just coffee. His blood was too thick, his pressure dipped, and his brain didn't get oxygen fast enough. It was a quiet scare, but one that changed everything. So if you take nothing else from this episode, start with water. It's the easiest way to support your brain, your heart, and your energy before anything else touches your lips. Why wait for your body to scream when a whisper was already there? It sounds harmless. You wake up, toss the blanket aside, and swing your legs over the bed. You stand. You feel a little dizzy, maybe lightheaded. You tell yourself, it's nothing, I just got up too fast. But after 60, getting up too fast isn't nothing. It's a message. And if you ignore it, that message can turn into something much more serious. Here's why. When you sleep, your body's horizontal. Blood settles more evenly. Your vessels relax. Your heart doesn't have to fight gravity. But the moment you stand, everything shifts. Gravity pulls blood downward. Your brain needs an instant supply of oxygen to stay clear and balanced. If your vessels don't respond fast enough, if your pressure drops too quickly, you feel that wave of lightheadedness. And that's not just discomfort. That's a brief moment where your brain isn't getting what it needs. This condition has a name, orthostatic hypotension. And while it sounds technical, it's common, especially in older adults. A study published in Frontiers in Cardiovascular Medicine showed that seniors with this condition have significantly higher risk of falls, fainting, even long-term brain decline. Another study found that when seniors stood up more slowly, their blood pressure didn't drop as sharply. Less stress on the brain, less vascular strain, better stability. So what's the alternative? Here's what I tell my patients. Before you rise, pause. First, roll gently to your side. Breathe. Then push yourself up to a seated position. Plant both feet on the floor. Breathe again. Only then, stand up. It takes less than 20 seconds, but it gives your body time to catch up. It gives your brain a chance to stay fully oxygenated and in control. One man I worked with said this simple shift saved him from falling down the stairs. For months, he'd feel off every morning, blaming age, blaming fatigue. But once he started rising slowly, the dizziness stopped. His mornings changed. We live in a culture that says, get up, get moving, get going. But for people over 60, speed is the enemy. What your body needs is not urgency. It needs readiness. It needs grace. Because your balance, your focus, even your confidence, they all start in that first quiet minute. So the next time you feel that rush to stand, pause. Give your body the moment it deserves and let your brain thank you for it. It's one of the first things people do in the morning. Sometimes before even getting out of bed, you reach for your phone, check the news, scroll emails, maybe social media. Just for a minute, right? But that 1 minute, it can set your nervous system on the wrong path for the entire day. You see, when you sleep, your brain is in a state of rest and repair. It's processing memory, clearing waste, slowing your heartbeat. Your entire system is in low gear. And then suddenly, a bright screen, breaking headlines, a notification, a bill reminder, someone's political post. Your heart skips, your thoughts accelerate, cortisol spikes. That's not just emotional, it's physiological. Research shows that exposure to high-stress content within the first 30 minutes of waking can raise cortisol levels by up to 50%. And for people over 60 whose vascular systems are more sensitive, that cortisol spike can mean tighter blood vessels, faster heart rate, higher blood pressure, a recipe for vascular stress. I've had patients who didn't realize the connection. They'd wake up anxious, shaky, unsettled. They thought it was blood sugar or sleep issues. But when we asked about their morning habits, every one of them admitted the same thing. I check my phone first thing, always have. So what can you do instead? Start with silence, or at least something gentle. Sit up, breathe, stretch, drink your water. Let light enter the room slowly. Let your thoughts arrive in your own voice, not someone else's. If you want stimulation, let it come from your body, not from a device. Try 5 minutes. That's all. 5 minutes before touching your screen. Write a short note. Think of something you're grateful for. Step outside if the weather allows. Let your nervous system calibrate itself naturally. This is not about ignoring the world. It's about protecting your window of clarity. Because that first exposure to content, it becomes the tone your brain follows for hours. When you rush into information, your brain thinks it's in danger. But when you begin with calm, your brain feels safe. And safety, especially after 60, is what helps blood flow freely, keeps oxygen steady, protects your cognition. So ask yourself tomorrow, what's the first signal I give my body? Is it mine or is it coming from a screen? Because 1 minute of calm can ripple into an entire day of clarity. Let's talk about a habit that's become so common, it barely gets questioned. You wake up, you skip food, you pour a cup of coffee, maybe two. You tell yourself, I'm not hungry in the morning, I'll eat later. But for people over 60, this routine can quietly put strain on your brain and your heart every single day. Here's what happens. When you sleep, your body uses stored glucose to fuel brain repair and regulation. By morning, those stores are low. And your brain, it's hungry, even if you don't feel it. Now add caffeine to that equation. Coffee stimulates adrenaline. Adrenaline signals alert. Your heart rate goes up, your blood vessels constrict, your digestion shuts down, and your blood sugar dips even lower. This is the moment many seniors feel the crash. Shaky hands, brain fog, mood swings, dizziness, and they chalk it up to aging, but it's not age, it's fuel, or the lack of it. A large body of research now shows that skipping breakfast, especially after 60, is linked to increased cardiovascular strain. One study found that people who regularly skip breakfast had a 27% higher risk of heart-related death. Another showed that cognitive decline accelerated in seniors who routinely went without food in the morning. But what about intermittent fasting? That's a fair question. Here's the thing. Intermittent fasting can be helpful for some people, but it's not one size fits all. And after 60, your body's hormonal response changes. Fasting without supervision can lead to nutrient depletion, fatigue, and elevated cortisol. In short, skipping breakfast might work for your 35-year-old nephew, but your 65-year-old brain, it needs more support. So what's the fix? You don't need a heavy meal, but you do need something to steady your blood sugar and ease your system into the day. A soft-boiled egg, a slice of avocado on toast, a warm oat drink with a pinch of salt and cinnamon. Even bone broth. You want a mix of gentle protein, healthy fat, and hydration. One of my patients started with half a banana and a spoonful of almond butter. That was it. But within days, her mid-morning dizziness disappeared. She felt more stable, more focused, and surprisingly, less hungry later on. Because when your body gets what it needs early, it doesn't panic later. Instead of running on caffeine and willpower, you're running on nourishment. So ask yourself, am I fueling myself or just pushing through? Because after 60, breakfast isn't about appetite. It's about protection. The sun is up. You've had your coffee, maybe a bite to eat, and now it's time to get moving. Laundry, dishes, a quick walk, maybe even a workout. Start the day strong, right? But here's the part most people don't realize. Jumping into physical activity right after waking without preparing your body can silently strain your brain and cardiovascular system. Why? Because when you're sleeping, your entire body is in a slower state. Your heart rate is low, your blood vessels are relaxed, your circulation is focused inward, not outward. Your muscles, joints, and nervous system are still recalibrating. Now picture this. You go from lying down to lifting heavy laundry baskets, to bending over to make the bed, to heading out the door for a brisk walk. Your brain hasn't caught up. Your circulation hasn't stabilized. Your blood pressure is suddenly rising, and not always in a safe way. For seniors, especially those with hypertension or stiff arteries, this can be risky. I've seen patients feel fine one moment and suddenly lightheaded, nauseous, or short of breath after simple morning tasks. One man told me he nearly fainted while bending down to tie his shoes. Why? Because his nervous system hadn't been given time to adjust. He mistook motion for readiness. A study published in Clinical Autonomic Research emphasized that sudden transitions from rest to exertion in older adults can create short-term oxygen deprivation to the brain, especially if hydration or nutrition are lacking. Think of it like starting a cold car in the middle of winter. You don't slam the gas the moment it starts. You warm it up, you listen to the engine, you let the fluid circulate. Your body deserves the same respect. So how do you warm up the human system? I recommend a 5 to 10-minute mobility ramp up. Neck rolls, shoulder circles, wrist and ankle rotations, breathing deeply, walking slowly around the room. You're not exercising yet. You're inviting your body into the day safely. Once circulation improves, joints loosen, and your mind feels steady, then it's time to move. One of my patients began doing a simple stretch sequence before vacuuming the house. She used to get dizzy halfway through. Now she moves with more ease and more confidence because she's no longer rushing her system. She's working with it. So the next time you feel the urge to dive straight into your morning to-do list, pause, warm up, let your heart and brain sink before you put them under pressure. Because strength after 60 isn't about how fast you move. It's about how wisely you begin. We've talked about 5 habits, 5 things so many people over 60 do every morning without knowing the risk. Skipping water, standing too fast, grabbing the phone, drinking coffee on an empty stomach, rushing into movement. Individually, they might seem small, but together they create a morning storm. A quiet surge of stress inside your body that, over time, raises your stroke risk. But here's the good news. Each of these habits has a simple fix, and none of them require pills, gym memberships, or complicated programs. They just require awareness, and even more important, consistency. You don't need to overhaul your life. You just need to start with one thing. And if I had to choose one change that makes the biggest difference in the shortest amount of time, it's this. Drink a glass of room temperature water within 15 minutes of waking. Just one glass. That's the shift most people overlook. But the science is clear. Hydration first thing thins the blood, improves oxygen delivery, supports your heart, and gives your brain a stable foundation for the day. It's like pressing a gentle reset button. It tells your body, you're safe, you're supported. Let's begin. I've seen seniors feel clearer within 3 days of making the shift. Less dizziness, better focus, more calm. Because when your system starts in balance, the rest of the day follows that rhythm. So ask yourself, what message do you want your body to receive in the first 10 minutes of the day? Rushed and reactive, or steady and supported? That choice is yours, and it starts with water. So if you've made it this far, thank you. Thank you for choosing to understand your mornings differently. Because stroke prevention doesn't begin in a hospital. It begins at home, in silence, in small conscious choices. And if this episode helped you, even just one insight, one reminder, don't keep it to yourself. Send it to someone you love, a parent, a spouse, a neighbor who's still waking up and reaching for their phone, skipping water, and rushing into the day, not realizing they might be hurting themselves. These conversations, quiet, honest, human, are what shape a stronger future. We don't need louder alarms. We need wiser mornings. And if you ever forget what matters most, just write this on a sticky note and place it where you'll see it every morning. Begin soft and strong. That's it. Because your strength after 60 doesn't come from force. It comes from wisdom, from listening, from choosing calm when the world tells you to rush. So take your mornings back and let them carry you steady and clear into the rest of your day. We'll see you next time.